Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports, and I'm trying out something new here. I'm going to do a screen recording of the map for the course that I'm going to do on Saturday. This is a 600-kilometer brevet. It is under the 8K format, 8K standing for 26,000 feet. And it's a new criteria that has been created by, well, it's available through the randonniers of USA Randonneers, and there are only about 3 or 4 of these, maybe 5 across the country that will qualify. And what we're talking about here is 374-ish miles, about 26,000 feet of climbing. So the criteria 8K minimum is 8,000 feet. I'm sorry, 8,000 meters. All right, so let's take a brief overlook at this. And if you can follow the cursor along, you have the brown little things here. These are controls. And then okay, so these are reservations. So the theme for this is I have reservations, which of course is a double entendre. If you have reservations about doing a hard ride like this, but also the reservations as in the Indian reservation. So San Diego has a lot of these, and it appears that we're going to visit quite a few of these with these little icons here. So these are the controls, and if we look here at the cue sheet, first control is at Encinitas. Now, fortunately, this is super close to my home, so it almost seems like I should do this one, although I haven't had the training. I know I keep saying that in these previews, but I really haven't. If you look at my Strava, I think I've only ridden one time since the 400K. Today is Tuesday, and this launches out on Saturday. So here's the first control, the start and finish, I should say. Here is an info control, and that is at 23.4. So the direction of the course, you can see these little arrows here. So it's going to go from here south, and then starts a long trajectory east, east, east. Now for us, of course, west is typically, anytime you head west, you're heading towards the water, you get an onshore flow of the wind, so you typically have headwinds. If you head out east, you should have tailwinds, or at least no winds early in the morning. And you're going to head all the way through hills, foothills, mountain range, that's all this green stuff here. And you'll head out, and it's going all the way down here, it seems like super close to the border. We're just running right along the US-Mexican border, and then it's going to do pretty much an out and back there. It's going to go back. All right, so that's the lay of the land for the very first portion. Then it's going to go through some more mountain stuff up to a quaint little town of Julian, then drop into our desert, and then climb out of our desert. You can follow along at the bottom here too. And then it will eventually go north to, that looks like Lake Elsinore area, and then make its way south and west and west and south. All right, so the info control at 23.4, and it looks like there's another control out here at mile 64.8. So I'm curious, in the first 100K, 64.8, that should be somewhere around there. That was mile 66, so let's back it up a little bit to right around here. And we're looking at this infographic here. So in the first 65 miles, about 105K, it's going to do about almost 6,000 feet of climbing. And this part here, it's an interesting story about this. This was basically when I cut my teeth in San Diego riding dirt roads. This is called Viejas Grade, this section here, and it's right behind an Indian reservation casino. And Viejas Grade is a pretty mellow grade, and sometimes it's in really good shape. But I was riding, 23 tires on a regular road bike, riding gravel. In those days was you just got on your bike and you just rode, whether it be pavement or a dirt road to cut maybe some busy section of the road. And what you're looking at here, this interstate down here, this yellow line, that is Interstate 8 freeway. And so what this does is it cuts all of that out from being on, there are sections on the 8 freeway where you can ride, but in this case, you get off the 8 freeway and you go behind the casino. This whole area, they just don't have any other surface roads. So when the infrastructure does not have surface roads, bikes are allowed on the freeway here in the San Diego area. Anyway, you're going to cut behind this as you keep heading. Let's see, we're going to keep heading east, and so the next control is at what is this? Campo. And Campo, once you get out to this area here, this most southern part of the route, this is just great riding. There are very few cars coming out. Many years ago, this Campo 94 here, used to go out on that a lot, the 94, and many years ago, and we would just pop into Tecate, Mexico, right here. Some of you might recognize Tecate as in one of the beers that you can buy affordably priced. And we would pop in here, have some street tacos before they were popular on the US side with the major chains, and then pop back into the US. No mess, no fuss. Super cheap street tacos. Then you head all the way to the eastern, well, not the most eastern, but pretty close to this Carrizo Gorge area. And there's an old bridge out there that I'm surprised is still standing. I wonder how close we'll get to that, but it would be cool if I get a chance to see that. Then here is another tribal office, Campo tribal office, and that'll be 128 miles in. So let's just see where that is in all of this climbing. So down here, I'm going to take a guess around there. All right, let's extend that a little bit to about there. 127, a little more, 128. So yeah, 128 miles with 10,600 feet of climbing, and you're out in our desert area. This out here is very inhospitable terrain, so I will be wearing a hydration pack just so I'm not caught out without enough fluids. Then the overnight control, which will be staffed, and you can send a drop bag ahead. So the organizers are taking bags from here at Encinitas, follow the mouse, all the way out to here to the overnight control. And so if you don't want to carry all of your cold weather clothing, all of your nutrition product or anything like that, you have a bag, you drop it off at the start, and then they'll take it for you to the overnight control. Now this is where it gets interesting, because the overnight control is only at mile 204.6. So what that means is, let's drag and drop this. You're right down here at the base of this massive climb to get out of the desert. Now, at that point, let's just say 202 miles. with 16,000 feet of climbing. If we launch at 5 a.m. from the coast, that's basically a 200 miler that generally would take me about 14 hours. So 5 a.m. start plus 14, that means about 1900 time. Well, the sun hasn't set yet at 14, let's even call it 15 hours. So right now, let's call it 15 hours to get there. That's 8 p.m. or 2000 hours. And I have to make a decision whether I'm going to, I didn't pay for, they had rooms that you could pay, there were double occupancy rooms, and I've decided against that. So the weather should be warm enough should I decide to just lean up against a building somewhere away from the wind, but it's only 8 p.m. I would rather get up this climb, which is, fairly, it's a very good climb, and if it's windy, it's going to be a nightmare. But at that point, 217 miles with about 19.6. As a matter of fact, Jess and I rode this climb on one of the videos that we did with a weekend in Borrego. So I'll try to add that link down below for that video. But once you get there, since the sun has already set, typically, so this area here should not have that much wind, right? After the sun has set. We don't know yet. The wind on this climb is variable. It is all over the place because the road twists and turns. So sometimes headwind, sometimes tailwind, sometimes crosswind. But I'm thinking if it's 8 o'clock by the time I get to the base of this, 15 hours to do 200 miles with 16,000, I think I might continue on at least until it gets to be real nighttime. Sunset is later, much later in the day, now that we're getting so much closer to the summer. So I'm looking now at sunset as of today is, hang on just a second. Yeah, so sunset will be at 7:30 p.m., 19:30. So it's possible if I get here before 7:30, I'll just roll on. If I get here way after 7:30, I may just snuggle up against a building somewhere. But once you get to here, this point here, you start dropping a very gradual, first, 2 to 3%, 4%, and then you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. And now you're heading north for, there's a good descent here, and you're headed this way. If you notice another reservation here, I guess a refueling point here and here. All of this is fairly tame. It's not that difficult. I mean, at this point, you've done 20,000 feet of the 26 scheduled. So you have another 6,000 feet to go in the next 160 miles. So if we just then do from the top of Montezuma Grade to the finish, 156 miles, another 7,000 feet. This is very deceptive all the time when we look at routes. People are like, oh, all you got to do is get past this climb here and then it's clear sailing. It's fairly flat and downhill. But yeah, it generally always has more climbing, popper here, popper there, popper here. And there's another little dirt section they seem to have included right here. And I know exactly where this is. I've been on this before. There's a gentleman that used to do a Black Friday ride, and we would go up this It's not bad. Typically it's in pretty good shape, but it is really the best way to get out of all the traffic and milieu that's all in this area. Not some of my favorite riding, this area up here. Let's zoom in a little bit. This area north up here, it'll be an out and back, which is really cool because this is fairly flat. Hopefully there might be some tailwind. And then you enter this dirt section, and Duluth Road is just a fun road. Climbing north, heading north, it's climb, roller, climb, roller. But on the way southbound, it's drop, roller, drop, roller, drop, roller, with more dropping than up. So it's a fun road to do heading southbound. Get to Fallbrook here, which we just did on the 400K, and then you just keep heading south and west, south and west, south and west. So, and then the last portion here, that's probably only about 12, 15 miles. Yeah, so this control here at 361, and then you finish at 374, so about 13 miles of southbound. Now, hopefully you get that tailwind that is typically the prevailing winds. So what am I thinking? I don't know, probably 30 hours all told. Maybe 28 pedal time, 29 pedal time, not sure. Anyway, I did some quick calculations and I thought, okay, if I do 28 hours of pedal time at about 300 calories per hour, so I was thinking about 8,400 calories. So, I gotta either pack it or buy it along the way. That's one of the things that takes so long with in these types of unsupported endurance events. You have to manage your stops and not take too long, but you have to stop to get stuff. I mean, you can't just ride 375 miles with what you brought on board. But my hydration pack is 2 liters, so that's about 2.5 water bottles, the 26-ounce tall bottles. 2 bottles on the bike. So let's just call that 4.5 bottles. Let's call that at least 6 hours of riding, depending on how hot it gets. 6, maybe 7 hours of riding, and then top off everything, get on again. So looking at maybe 3 to 4 actual refueling stops. Could be more. I mean, you definitely want to top off before you start this big climb here, or even this climb here, just so that, because that's like a, let's see, that's a 12-mile gradual climb, 6% grade, just go. So you definitely want to top off there. And then you definitely want to top off before you start this big guy. And then you definitely want to top off after dark. When you first get into the nighttime, because you need to get through certain areas that will not have many stores open at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. You probably won't find too many stores on this whole back portion here. Once you come out of the Palomar area, see, this is Palomar Mountain, so you're running along this. There is a store down here, Valley Center, and you keep going, but a lot of this is going to be just not many stores open. So you have to plan your stops accordingly. And So that's pretty much the preview of the 600K. I don't have any great expectations, but I would like to get under 30 hours. Did the 400K in 18 hours. It was proportional to this one. So for example, the 400K had 17,000 feet of climbing. So this will be 200K more with another 9,000 feet of climbing. So if that took, let's just say, 9 hours per 200K, that's how I'm kind of doing my math. So 3 200Ks, about 9 hours, so 27. So that's why I'm padding to like a 28 pedal time and maybe a 30 total time. All right, well, that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you up the road.